poor data leading to poor experiences. So I alluded to in the previous section that we're talking about the need for lead enrichment or providing additional detail when that lead comes in. Often when you're working with very minimal forms, sometimes forms have nothing but an email address. And so the lead comes in, you just have an email, and it's not really something you could send to the sales team. Or if you're working with LinkedIn forms, you're collecting a lot more information, but it's their personal information. Maybe it's their personal email instead of their work email. So you need to capture that additional data, but you need to do so in such a way that's fast enough that you're not going to introduce additional delays to the lead process. And so I think what we're going to go through here is a great illustration of how to accomplish that in seconds instead of precious minutes. And we're going to look at integration with Clearbit. So I'll pass it back to you, Bennett.
Great, thanks, Alex. Yeah, so just to recap, before this, we actually just kind of went through how we synced G2. So a new lead in G2, we're actually validating the email, and then after that, we're searching and actually entering that into Eloqua. So a follow-up step, right? That's super easy to add, and with a lot of new tools that we have today. So today we're going to use Clearbit, but some other tools that might be familiar in terms of contact enrichment, things like ZoomInfo, we have that as well. So basically being able to, first of all, just give a simple email, right? So making sure that if your form is very, very lightweight and just having a few fields, you're still able to get more information about this contact itself and actually using that to send that down to downstream systems. So things like Eloqua, making sure that the contact has full information, as well as down to, other systems, right? So we talked about CRMs, we talked about Outreach. So Outreach, the application, so being able to give more information to your sales teams as well. So over here, when you're using the Clearbit connector, it's just a simple mapping exercise. You got the email from that we're going to look up in Clearbit, and this actually returns quite a lot of vital information about this person. So not only the person itself, based on their email, we can actually find their things about their employment, their job role, their title, which is super important, right, in the sales cycle, but also things like the company itself. So things like the annual revenue, where their headquarters is located, and that's critical information as well, right? Knowing where to route this lead to, whether maybe you split your company up or your sales teams up by geography or in terms of market segment, right? Whether it's an SMB, mid-market, or enterprise lead. This is the information that you need, and you can actually get it back from Clearbit or other lead enrichment platforms as well. So after you've collected this information from Clearbit, so how does it look like to actually map this information into Eloqua? So it's just really a simple mapping exercise, right? So I'm just going to do a few ones and then show you guys the recipe that I've built as well. So things like, let's say the person's title, you can actually see it over here. So the employment title, I'm just going to map it in. And of course, let's say for the geography, I want to actually give the company's geography, right? So the address of the company. So I'm just going to go over here and just start mapping, let's say, street and the street name, because I still have the city later on over here and things like that, right? So, the whole mapping exercise, really, really easy, just drag and drop, pushing it over. And what you should end up with, and let me just go to this recipe that I have over here. We actually have this one, right? So basically when a new lead comes in from G2, we're actually validating the email. So the same thing that we had just now. So it gives an error if the email is not valid. Looking up the email in Clearbit and actually just sending that over. So, having that searching for the contact, creating or updating, and then creating a linked G2 interaction. As follow-up steps that you can do as well. So, we talked about how this enters into your marketing automation platform, Eloqua, but how does it also stream into the sales side of things? The sales applications in your tech stack. So things like your CRM, or in this case, Outreach, right? So we have another callable recipe, functions almost in the same fashion as the lead validation, where we're just sending it a simple piece of information, in this case the state code of the company, and we're in this case, right, we're routing it to the proper SDR based on the state which the company is based in. After that, searching for the prospect in Eloqua, just to make sure that we're not creating duplicate prospects, and then creating the prospect in Outreach if it doesn't exist, and adding the the prospect to sequence an outreach automatically. So, being able to actually take the first step and send this and add them to a sequence, send out the first emails in the nurture campaign even before an SDR has time to reach out to them. So increasing speed to lead in terms of different first touch points as well. And the last part is just posting a message in Slack. So let me showcase like a job run that we actually just did recently. So this was super recent. We just did it a few minutes. I just did it a few minutes ago. Just looking at the email in Clearbit, and actually having all this information about. I guess I gave Acne Studio, so all this different information, syncing that into Eloqua, and then sending that into Outreach. So I want to also focus on the last part, which is how it looks like for a specific SDR when they're actually working out of Slack. And in this case, right, it might be Slack today, but we also have Workbot for a whole host of other different workplace messaging applications like Facebook Workplace and as well as Microsoft Teams as well. So over here, if you're an SDR and you're going about your day, you can imagine that Workbot is going to send you a quick message, right, every time a lead comes in that actually gives you all the information you need about this specific lead. In this case, I furnished it with the information from G2, but giving you easy access to see the lead in the app of your choosing, right? So in this case, I've chosen Outreach. So being able to, first of all, do a simple click, see that the lead has been created. Let me just do this one, sorry. And see that this lead has been created. And then of course, being able to see like all the different custom fields. Of course, this can also be customized based on how we've created the lead in Outreach. And being able to act on it really, really quickly, right? Yeah. So Alex, I'll pass the time back on to you.
Yeah, that's great, Bennett. I think one of the things that may be worth highlighting is just how little time all those steps took. So how much I know it calculates it out. How much did that take in that case?
Yeah, so each integration run, I mean, depending on how many steps, but in this case, right, it took about 5 seconds, right, from the time that the lead was submitted in G2 all the way through validating the email, enriching it in Clearbit, and sending it into Eloqua and back, as well as Outreach and back, and then into Slack. That took about 5 seconds. So the whole round trip, yeah.
Yeah, and that's game changing for marketers. You're talking about the difference between building the integrations yourself or running things in your CRM and it taking minutes for it to hop from app to app versus having it happen in seconds here and having total control of your data. It's amazing. So not only can you do these things, that you're no longer caught in that bind where you have to make the decision between adding time to your speed to lead or enriching the data with the information that your sales reps need. You can kind of have the best of both worlds here.